to the KnowHis.love podcast. I am Father Michael.
And I'm Molly.
Hi, Molly.
Hi, how's
I'm
it
just a
going?
little stressed.
It's okay, everybody.
Jobs.
Jobs,
got jobs.
work. Everybody's got jobs, and that's stressful.
Yeah, let's quit that nonsense.
You really can't.
I can't.
It's okay, though.
No. Oh, it's okay.
No, it's not
No,
okay.
it's not okay. How are you today?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Just hanging out. I'm very tired.
Is that baby tired or
Probably.
staying
I
up
think
too
it's
late
always.
tired?
I did stay up a little too late as well. So I'm participating in this. I don't know if I told you this. The hospital I'm giving birth at has. I almost panicked that it was still a secret. It is not a secret. I can't hide it anymore.
No.
If I stand up, you could see it. Is doing research.
Oh,
And
yeah.
at first they offer me to be a part of it. And that's a little sketchy when you're a Catholic and people want to do research, especially when you're pregnant. There's just all sorts of. I was just nervous, but they gave me the run through. I read all of it, and it's just basically monitoring my habits throughout my pregnancy.
Mhm.
How much can hot dogs really affect the birth? What you eat and your sleep patterns and how much you walk and your heart rate and stuff. And then they'll do some sort of evaluation when I give birth or whatever.
Mhm.
But I get paid for it.
That's
so I was
cool.
heck
Yeah.
yeah. And it was totally moral. But so I'm wearing a Fitbit now. All
Yeah.
this to say, if you remember, I used to be a big
You were
Fitbit
big
girly.
Fitbit.
I know. I don't know why I stopped because I'm back into it. But this monitors your sleep. So now I really
Okay.
know. And it's just wake up, pee, go back to sleep, pee, go back to sleep. I got 6 hours of sleep last night, which really where I'm at in life is not enough for me.
Mhm.
So I'm tired. Oh, that's a hunger one. But I brought some chips.
Please don't eat those into the microphone. Generic Pringles.
I know, Aldi, man.
Mhm.
They're basically the same thing. Pringles are better, but
Yeah.
so all this to say, it's probably pregnancy related.
Yeah.
And also lack of sleep related.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you stressed about? Just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
we're looking at our list of topics. This podcast is coming out a little bit late for busyness reasons, Father Matthew being sick reasons.
Dead. I asked him how he was today, and he was like,
that.
I am dying. So very sick.
Yeah. Yeah. So we were like, all right, what's on the old list?
The old podcast list.
And one of the things is when you're mad at God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever been mad at God?
Yes.
Do you feel like it happens frequently for you?
I don't know about frequently, but it's definitely tied to stress.
Yeah.
It's tied
Are you
to
angry at God right now?
only a little.
That's very honest.
Because just as an example, it's just gosh, why is this
keep happening?
Or so I have to deal with the stressful situation, which is normal, but it's kind of okay, why is this part of the priesthood?
That's very,
And so sometimes
that's not why you became a priest, right?
No, and so sometimes I can be angry about God about things like that. It's okay, this is the thing that I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, I wanted to serve you in your church, and I have to deal with this dumb situation.
Yeah,
it is a dumb situation for those of you. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think something that can cause, at least for me, anger with God is I think it can come up a lot more when you're really practicing your faith. It's easier for me to not be angry with God if I'm something is going wrong and I know I'm refusing to pray or not remaining close to him and it's still not good. It's easier for me to be I know this is my fault.
yeah.
I might want to be pissed at you, but I know this is really me.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it feels like everything's going wrong when you're super close to the Lord. When you're praying as much as you should be, when you're serving him as much as you should be. And it can feel almost for me, I sometimes turn my relationship with God into a transaction. I put this in and then you don't make anything bad happen to me, right?
Yeah.
But that's just it never was promised to us. It's cheesy for a reason to say he never promised that it would be easy, but promised that we would never be alone.
Mm-hmm.
I hear that a lot.
I always go back to at the Last Supper. He said, "You will have trouble in the world."
Yep.
but I've overcome the world is the second part. But he did
Overcome the
say
world, but there will be some
there will be
problems.
some problems.
Yeah. But sometimes we just get so like, no, but like we make our own definition of Christianity of like, no, that's like not a part of being a faithful Christian. Like you just expect life to get easier. And it gets better, I would say, but harder too.
Yeah.
But the world says those things can't exist together, so it's easy to be like mad at God when they do.
Yeah. Is it okay to be mad at God?
Oh yeah. But I think that's a journey for everyone to come to accept. Like, did you always believe that? Do you
Probably.
believe that?
Yeah, I do believe that. I probably didn't always think that.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely been as I've grown in my faith and grown in knowledge of myself, I think I understand it in a different way that, you know, we say it all the time on here that you feel what you feel.
Mm-hmm.
And so that there's always going to be you're going to experience different things. And if you are stressed out or you're suffering or things are going wrong, like you're going to react to that.
Right.
You can't necessarily control how you react to that. And you may react in a really holy, like pious way of like, oh, it's God's will.
While still feeling
He's gonna
angry
do.
on the inside.
Well, I was gonna get to that. This is
Oh,
me
okay.
being sarcastic.
Oh, okay.
But
I was like, I mean, if I ever do that, I'm so pissed off.
yeah. So I mean, I feel like I've met people like, oh, you know, God will bring good out of it, and maybe that's just what's happening on the outside when they say
Mm-hmm.
those things. But it's you can trust God, I think, but also be like, gosh, why is this happening? And sometimes that's going to be directed at him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Mary was angry, but I think speaking to what the words you just said, we see that example of like at the Annunciation, she was like, how could this be? Not like in an angry way, but just like, I'm confused.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like trusted the Lord in that. So like, I don't know. I always think of that example like trusting the Lord doesn't mean we always understand. And sometimes when we don't understand, we get angry.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes even when we understand, because like it's so normal to like be upset when something that you don't want to have happen to you happens to you. Like that's gonna make you upset.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever something happens to me that I don't want to happen, I get upset. And sometimes, typically if it's more serious, I get angry with God that He's allowed it to happen.
Yeah.
That's like been a big journey for me of like something that I don't know if I just didn't like let myself really go there in earlier years because I've always struggled with the idea of anger and that emotion. I think it's just always associated with like something bad and like an outward reaction. And like if
Mm-hmm.
you feel angry, you are angry and that's who you are. And so I always kind of ran away from any feeling of anger. It was always very hard for me. So I think it wasn't until recent years where I realized like it's okay to feel angry that I realized, like, oh, sometimes I feel angry with God. I forget where I was going with that.
Yeah. I
I don't remember. I had another point, but
It made
whatever.
me think of just like I think it can be tied into how we trust him in different ways that I don't think I would have acknowledged being angry at God as a younger person just because kind of like I didn't know him well enough, or I didn't trust him well
Oh,
enough to feel like I
ooh,
could be.
yeah. It's almost like it comes with trust. Like the more
Yeah.
you trust God, the more you're like, I'm safe to feel this.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of people, it's kind of like, well, that would be blasphemous, or that would be
Right.
disrespectful, and I get that. And could you be blasphemous and disrespectful to God? Sure, when you're angry, but that doesn't. I don't think that takes away that possibility of truly venting what you feel to God.
Yeah.
And I think the other end of trust with that is that, so you can be really honest with God about what you're feeling and what you're experiencing, but then the other part of it is like, do you do it with trust and kind of
Right.
like with that attitude of I don't understand why this is happening and I don't like what's happening. Here's what I feel, God, but in the end I trust you. And
Yeah.
it could kind of go either way.
Yeah. I think in the end, like one of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten. Again, this is cheesy, but I think it's cheesy for a reason. Is like you can tell God how you really feel because He can handle it.
Mm,
And that's so true. Like God, that like inspired me to be truthful in my prayer with God instead of just like saying the things I'm supposed to say. Like Lord, this situation's hard, but I trust you. Like, maybe sometimes I feel that,
Mhm.
but sometimes I'm like, Lord, this situation is hard and I have no idea what you're doing. And I'm really struggling to trust you right now. And like,
Yeah.
that's what leads to a more authentic faith, but also a deeper faith, because then you're not just like ignoring that. Like, you're giving God the chance to speak to that and to heal that. And
Mhm.
like, that's what he really wants to do. So, like, just like with any other emotion, it's okay to feel anything, but it's what you do with it. And like, I think sometimes when I've been angry at God, the response has been to pull away from him for like a long time.
Mhm.
Um, like, and it can be easy sometimes as a Catholic to be like, well, I'm fine, like I'm not skipping mass, or like I'm not falling into mortal sin. So like at the end of the day, I'm good, but like, and it's good that you're doing that. Those things are
Mhm.
good to do, but that's something I've like when I've been angry at God. It's like, well, I didn't stop going to mass. Like, you're lucky I'm still going to mass. Or like,
Hmm.
I'm still
Yeah, you're lucky I'm still doing that.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm still going to mass, and I'm not doing anything really bad. So like, it's fine. But like,
Hmm.
I'm not letting myself really get into the hard stuff with him and be real. Like, it's again, we believe that you should go to mass every week. But that's not what we believe the extent of your faith is. Like, it
Hmm.
doesn't stop there. We believe in a personal relationship with God, and every personal relationship I have is honest. And sometimes that looks really great, and sometimes it looks nasty when like someone has disappointed me, or someone has upset me, or someone has hurt me. Like, the most real relationships I have are the ones where someone does that, and then I can call up that friend and be like, "Let's talk through this."
Mhm.
Um, but like oftentimes my tendency when I'm feeling that with God is to pull away.
It makes me think of, say I'm angry at you, but we have to be around each other or work together. I can be polite and I can say the right things and go through the motions and still have that place in my heart where I'm like keeping that
And
anger.
it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, and I think we totally do that with God of like I will go to mass and I will, pray grace before meals and
Uh-huh.
whatever I have to do, but like if we keep him closed out of that place in our heart, it's not just like we're quote unquote hurting him because we're mad. It's
Mhm.
that we're not uh trusting him enough to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
That yeah, even if we don't understand or if we are hurting, believing that like, but I can still let God into that feeling and into that place.
Yeah. Do you remember like the time in your life when you were the most angry with God? I'm not saying you necessarily have to share what that was, or you could. But I'm just curious if you can like remember that, and we could talk about maybe what those experiences were like for us.
Yeah. I think they've been
I think
times.
I might know.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, like recently?
I mean relatively recently, yeah.
Okay, like when I was were we friends at this time?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I know.
I think and it's even maybe spread out over different times, but
Yeah.
just that like I think for me a lot it's often tied in the most, and it's probably because it's also in how I've grown in vulnerability as a priest, that the times as a priest have been the hardest times for me as a Catholic.
Mhm.
Like it didn't get easier.
Yeah.
It
Priesthood is not all rainbows and butterflies.
No,
That's crazy. I
unfortunately.
had
And
no idea.
yeah, there's definitely moments where I kind of like what I'm experiencing right now, where it's like, gosh, like, is this what this life is? For all sorts of different reasons.
Yeah,
There's a
they all the
million.
situations look different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I've gotten through all of them, but there's been those times where it's like I don't see goodness happening, or I don't see, or I feel like I'm being mistreated, or I'm giving myself for no reason and just blah blah blah.
Mhm.
And all that is and I know there's been times where that turned into anger at God of
Yeah.
like, why would you put me here? Why would you do
Right.
this? Yeah.
Well, how do you usually respond in those moments? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, what does that do to you, I guess?
Well, just like you said, pulling away.
Yeah.
And so prayer becomes just going through the motions of, I mean, like, yeah, it's as a professional prayer, like who has mass every day and things like that, you can do that without putting your heart into it. And
Yeah.
and so if you're suddenly doing that because you're mad at God, not really talking to him, not letting him into uh that place where, yeah, where you want to pull away, um Yeah, so that's definitely a big part of it for me, is just that kind of like, I'll do my job, but
Yeah.
I'm not gonna talk about it.
Yeah. Sometimes my pride gets into it too, where it's like I have a harder time opening up to God about it because I know at the end of the day, like, I'm wrong. Not
Mm.
wrong to feel how I feel, but like it's not like God's gonna be like, "Oh yes, I made a
Oh,
mistake. I
yes.
apologize." I know he's sorry for our hurt, but like
Mhm.
his will is perfect
Mhm.
and all his ways are perfect. So I think sometimes I'm just like, I don't want to deal with that because I feel like this is wrong. And like
Mhm.
I know what the answer is like a thing I always say. In
Yeah.
spiritual direction over and over again, I'm like, what's the point? Like I know what the answer is. And that could be a temptation when you are someone who's at a certain point in your faith, where it has been real and personal and deep. It could be easy to be like, well, I know what the right answer is. Like I've read all
Mhm.
these things. Like I know who God is. It's not like I'm new to this. Like I know what the answer is, but I'm pissed at the answer.
And when you're in the midst of it, it doesn't seem enough.
Yes.
It it
Oh
it
gosh,
can
yeah.
it can just feel like, yeah, I know all the, like, I've given all the answers
Yeah, but
to
then like
people
so,
before, and it can feel like nothing. And I think that could be, when you're angry, that everything can just kind of feel fake and kind of feel like superficial.
yeah.
Kind of the same way if you're really suffering or mourning, that it's just like, well, yeah, I know that, but it doesn't matter that much.
Yeah.
And so I think, yeah, we didn't really get to how you deal with it yet, but I think that's a big part of it for me, is that the quote unquote easy answer just feels like that, and feels
Mhm.
doesn't feel like something that's satisfying.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, how do you deal with it?
I'm trying to deal with it right now because I'm annoyed.
What are you doing?
Um, so like like letting it out is big.
Yes.
Um, and even if you can't necessarily go to God very well immediately, going to other people, I think, makes a difference. And
Yes.
um,
Especially people who you know are gonna do nothing but lead you closer to God.
yeah, they're not gonna,
They're not
yeah,
gonna be like, "Yeah, screw him.
yeah,
Don't
let's
pray."
leave the church together.
Right.
No, just like yeah, like opening up, and if you have a spiritual director, that's perfect, or in confession, or just with a good friend or a mentor, like
Mhm.
being able to speak that, and to be vulnerable about it. That is the first step. Just open the door,
Yeah.
because then you're not only letting that other person in, but you're gonna let God in.
Mhm.
So I think that's a huge first step.
Yeah, I agree.
What's the second step?
I think forcing yourself to pray
Hmm.
still. And accepting that sometimes it's gonna be forcing it. Like sometimes I wait for the desire to come back,
Mm.
or like wait for it to be easy instead of being like don't effing want to do this right now. I didn't say the word. I don't want to do this right now. I'm angry, so I'm not going to be
Yeah,
like recognizing that you feel that, and then being like, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Like, and you don't have to enjoy it. You don't have to say all the right things. You don't have to get anything about out of it. But
yeah.
showing up anyway. It's like if you think you have to do that in the priesthood,
Hmm.
you have to do that in marriage. Like you have to do that in any vocation. So gosh, of course we should do it in our number one calling, which is to be God's. The
Hmm.
thing to be God's.
To
Like
belong to God. Sort
I
of.
am called to be the God of the sun. Yes, I meant like to be God's children, to
Yes.
belong to God, all that.
Hmm.
That was funny. Um, yeah, but it's like it's interesting because you can't get away with it as much in the priesthood. Like you can't just not show up. You know
No,
what I mean?
people
I can't.
notice.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. I can't just not show up in
Hmm.
my marriage. Um, I mean, I guess I could, but then it I guess you could, but then like,
It's
what
quickly a problem.
right,
Hmm.
quickly a big problem, but like it's harder to see and process that problem because it does quickly make our spiritual life a problem, but like God's okay. He can handle it.
Hmm.
He does not want that. But
Yeah.
it's not like God's going to go and like have this I don't know how to, like he's going to be fine and he is patient and waits for us and it's like this weird thing cuz we know he will be there.
He's gonna
Anyway,
respond with love.
right. And
Yeah.
he's not going to force anything on us and he will be there when we're ready. And so it can be really easy to take advantage of that and be like, so I'm
Hmm.
just going to, because it can feel like on the surface, like there's no immediate effect. But we know all the while, like I know when I don't show up, like
Yeah.
it gets worse and worse and worse.
Hmm.
It never gets better and it never stays the same. It only gets worse.
Hmm.
Um,
when we talk about prayer as well, I don't think that means show up and be like, I don't know, sing the cheesiest praise and worship song you can
Yeah,
think
like
of. Like,
real prayer.
be really honest, be angry if you're angry, like let it out. And for me, sometimes that's taken the form of journaling,
Yes.
or just like
Big journal
sitting wherever
guy
and just
over
like
here.
in my heart or in my head, like really not like letting him have it, but like,
Oh, kind of.
but yeah,
If
but
that's
just
where
like
you're at.
here it all is, and
Yeah,
say exactly what you're thinking and
yes.
feeling.
Mm-hmm. You made fun of me for saying effing, but sometimes that's where people are.
That's true. I was only thinking about what it would sound like if it's bleeped, because then it doesn't sound like you said effing.
Yeah, it's
and
gonna
then
sound like I really said the word.
Wah wah.
Wah, wah. It's honestly the history of me getting bleeped on this show. Like, if you were to remove the bleeps, it is not as bad as like the bleeping makes it sound. I don't like use all these. I have obviously cussed before, but
It just
sometimes it makes it sound
worse.
really
Yeah.
bad. Like that I've really said. But sometimes I'm just like saying the abbreviation of the word or whatever. But it's fine.
Yes.
Yes.
I had a dentist appointment yesterday.
Okay.
And I was thinking of,
What?
because I had to get
You're
a cavity filled.
Really strong
I had
transition.
to get a cavity filled, and I was thinking where we were going to record yesterday. But like my upper lip was numb, and I was just thinking about, would that have sounded really weird?
I wish
would it
we
have been
did
different?
it. Oh.
No.
Oh, baby. Baby. Tired. You know, I haven't been napping as much, though.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't really had the time. Might take a nap today.
Do it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Those are kind of all my thoughts.
Yeah. I think it's just good to like affirm whatever you're feeling, like that's okay to bring to God.
Yes. That in fact, that's what the Lord wants.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he doesn't want the made up version of you.
Yeah. So it's okay to be mad at God. It's okay to go to prayer mad. It's okay to like struggle with it. And I don't know, we don't just like pray it away.
Right. Just
but,
don't let it overpower you.
Yeah,
like,
just being vulnerable is the answer.
Like trying to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
As best as you can, but realizing it's like hard. And if you're mad, you probably have a good reason to be.
Yeah.
And that can be really hard to cope with.
Mm-hmm.
So it's okay. And God knows that and understands that.
Yes.
And he wants to walk with you in it to help alleviate it and heal it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I got nothing else on that. Yeah.
Well, Father Michael, then.
Mm-hmm.
How has God loved you lately?
Recently was First Communion. And First Communion, like confirmation, the bishop comes and does confirmation, but First Communion, like, is my job.
Yeah.
And so just especially, I know those kids. I know some of those kids really well.
You baptized
and their families. Some of them I baptized, which is awesome. So
getting old.
I was gonna say going through the whole spiritual process with them, but getting old is also part of it. But yeah, just like having that experience of them coming up and knowing that you're giving them the Eucharist for the first time is pretty special. And just seeing them, in their suits and dresses and all
so cute,
excited, and that whole thing is just, really powerful. So First Communion's pretty great.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. How's God loved you lately?
So my husband and I are going to be moving soon, not far away, truly 3 minutes down the road from where we live right now. But it's a place with a little more space for a baby. And it's like really nice. We were going to stay where we are. And then we were like, let's just look. And we like very quickly, it just kind of fell into place with a really awesome place that we're really excited about. It's good for walking.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a shed and a porch, all these things that are like luxury for us. So more than one bedroom. My Christmas tree, which is like just out in the bedroom right now.
That's true.
We like have nowhere to put it. And yeah, so I don't know, just like a little thing of like, we were planning to stay where we are, and then God just kind of gave us this opportunity. We're really excited about it. So for our new little apartment.
Little apartment.
Did I send you the video that I took yesterday?
No.
Okay, I'll send it to you. I did I went back there and did a little walkthrough. But yeah, that's all we got.
Great. So
pray for him. Pray for me.
Pray for everybody. Father Matthew's got to edit this. He's not feeling great, so it's probably good that it's a little short.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We did that on purpose.
Okay.
See ya.
See ya.